Все, я пошел чай варить.
Ага.
Все, я пошел чай варить.
Ага.
Все, я пошел чай варить.
Ага. Не торопись, девушка за рулем, не торопись. Останови. Нюхни мою пись.
Да ты что? back, everyone, to Brussels, Belgium, in our second game between the Coup Tigers and Fnatic. Coup Tigers are on the board 1-0. We're swapping sides here. Fnatic moving to the red side. Krepo, this is the one team that we've seen abandon or at least try and separate the two power picks of GP and Mord from the red side. What are you expecting to see here this time around?
Yeah, last game, obviously, Coup were on the red side, and they banned out Gangplank, Mordekaiser, Elise, the three best bans you could potentially do. I don't think Fnatic will repeat this. They seem really comfortable just hitting key picks in opposing team strategy. Sadly for them, Coup's champion pools are pretty deep overall, but I think this may be a game where Gangplank won't get through, but Mordekaiser may get through, and we'll have to see how well Prey has potentially played that, because Reckless has been spamming it over in Korea when he was in the boot camp, and we'll need to see if Coup is afraid of this, if they're going to change their ban strategy. At the other hand, though, they were comfortable playing whatever champions were left open, so they may actually just be fine banning these champions on blue side.
So let's zero in on one of those matchups, the top lane, Smeb versus Huni. Smeb came out swinging and basically saying, I don't care, I'm going to pick Riven blind into Huni.
I mean, Fnatic did this actually in the quarterfinal match as well. That's very cocky to blind pick a Riven in that way, but Smeb is very confident in his skills against Huni, and it really showed. I think Huni, he got delayed because he had to build that Frozen Heart, couldn't build that Trinity Force faster, and Smeb had some great TPs, multi-kills on this Riven. He's a very, very, very good Riven player.
I'm really glad that we got to see like Smeb doing what he does, like doing really well on Riven. And then I'm also glad we got to see Fnatic. Rek'Sai did get that gank off, so they did have slightly better synergy, but we still saw Smeb taking control of the Riven, and I was just happy we saw both sides.
Yeah, a lot of things went to chalk, or at least how we expected. Coup coming out on top, though, and that's a crushing blow for Fnatic. To be up 7-8K gold at one point and be in control of that game and have it fall from grasp. Probably, what would you be looking for this team to do on a larger scale in order to secure a victory this time around if they can create that lead?
Well, Fnatic kind of tunnels on these like theme comps, I guess I'll call it, because they're not really well-rounded. Like in that comp, for instance, they didn't have any wave clear. They didn't really have much AoE besides like the LeBlanc distortion. So I really want to see more well-rounded ones that have some kind of wave clear, some kind of like peeling in a team fight potential, and not just all in, we're going to press R and kill one guy, which is what their comps normally look like.
And I think Fnatic should go back to double teleport. We saw what Coup can do it in a late game. If Fnatic are playing these crazy engage compositions where they have a lot of crowd control, adding another dimension in terms of flanking with that teleport could mean maybe not so much on a LeBlanc, but if everyone ends up on a different champion, I just want to see the teleports matched at least. So even if things don't go as planned in the early snowball game, you can still match that split push, because Coup, they got a big advantage in the later parts of the mid game with those teleports.
Well, that's the question, right, for Fnatic. Are they going to do that? Because punishing the early game and nearly winning is exactly what Fnatic did. Do they want to go blow for blow on a team that I think is a better team fighting team and better at using globals than they are?
We'll see if they can leave themselves a little bit more leeway when it comes to closing out a game if they can secure another lead. As we send it to the casters for game 2, Yellowstar tells us that when it comes to fighting Coup, you have to face them head on.
Coup is a team that likes to play around the globals. I mean, they play with double TP, with a support that can roam a lot, and he can move really fast on the map. So they really want to create skirmishes and those small fights. And I know that in 5v5, in a team fight, when it happens, they might not be as good as in skirmishes, because I've watched the games against KT, and this is where they got, they lost the game.
May have lost them games against KT, but it just won a game for them against Fnatic, the opening of the series. Prey has already got one of those books ticked saying Fnatic take it back to the library, because once they closed that game out, the crowd was stunned. Red side picks and bans were about to jump into it. Officio, and we've heard Analyst Days talk about it. How does it change now for Fnatic?
Obviously, when it comes to these Mordekaiser Gangplank bans, Coup Tigers is a team who tend to ban it on blue side, especially the Mordekaiser. 8 out of 11 games now, they ban Mordekaiser themselves. Because I think due to them having a lot of, should we call them crazy picks or new picks you're not really expecting, or due to them trusting their ability to play more standard compositions, they don't need to trade like a Mordekaiser for Gangplank, don't want to risk it. Seems to be the strategy they were running against KT at least, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them just ban away Mordekaiser and Gangplank potentially themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that Fnatic has a pretty evolved strategy for the red side pick ban here, because there are so many advantages the blue side team gets, and they have to be looking at this like an away game. They have to steal a game on red side if they want to win the series. Now, they've lost their home court advantage from being the higher seed.
And in the last game, Reignover managed to get his jungle pick, the Rek'Sai. we were talking before the game, okay, what is Reynor going to play if Rek'Sai and Elise is gone? Is he going to go for that Olaf pick we've seen back in Europe? Is he going to try and play Elise in? He hasn't played it all year long, and we have to go all the way back to when he was on IM number 2 and IM number 1 he used to play it. On blue side, you should be able to secure that pick for yourself, the priority jungler, and often ban away one of them yourself, or expect Elise to be banned on red side and then you first pick a Rek'Sai. That would leave Reynor in a situation where he has to find something else to play. And this might be where we get to see what he can pull out. We saw Zach from Hojo.
Well, Zach ended up working well in the later stages of the game. Crowd is definitely trying to send their energy and love around the venue. We're going to jump into picks and bans for games 2 in just a couple of moments and see how these teams prioritize. Because the game that was remade against EDG, Fnatic left both Mordekaiser and GP through. We know Ku has had that penchant to ban it on blue side, but maybe so Ku can surprise, not ban it this time, and catch us all a little off guard.
Well, EDG saw that Fnatic were okay leaving it open and take the trade, so EDG went Mordekaiser. Normally you'd always go for Gangplank because he does really well into the Mordekaiser as well. But after EDG saw that and the remake happened, they're like, oh, we're not going to do this again.
Not worth.
They banned it on blue side, not want to risk that trade. They trusted more in their more standard picks.
Yeah, the fact, though, that you normally take Gangplank before the Mordekaiser, and even with that knowledge, Fnatic was willing to let a trade go through, means that they could be willing to let this go through once more. Rekkles has played maybe more Mordekaiser than anybody else. When it first went over to Korea for his boot camp, nearly 2 months ago when the patch first hit that they were playing Worlds on, he was first on the train. And I think they're okay actually going into that matchup.
And I think also we have to look at Febiven in the mid lane, because Analyst has just talked about how they wanted double teleport to be a thing for Fnatic. Febiven on this LeBlanc, I think we look at the last game and we look at the first 20 minutes as one game in itself. And it paid off to have offensive summoners ignite in 3 different lanes, super aggressive, try and force that 2v2 fight around the mid lane. Reynor ganked Koro like 3 or 4 times early and then invaded into the jungle. That paid off for Fnatic, and they should have been able to close that game out or gone towards a Baron and not taking these tower dives, which were so telegraphed that Ku Tigers could respond. Late game, we did see the problem though with double teleport. And the funny thing is, I almost feel like when Fnatic is running a more standard comp in the sense of a control mage in the mid lane with a teleport for Febiven and a carry who can deal damage for Rekkles. So it's not all about Huni snowballing. I often feel like that Fnatic team looks a little bit better in the sense that they can play more risk, or they can play more slow. They don't have to go all in the early game like we saw before.
Well, just a quick update, guys. We did have a chat to the production team and our referees and our QA off air and backstage regarding the wards that could not see each other. And when vision is unequal, a green ward can see a pink ward, but the pink ward cannot see the green ward. We will always pause. Now, when wards cannot see one another, we do not pause because of the map geometry. So when it is not clear if it is geometry or a ward bug, we will only pause if there's a severe impact on the game. In this case, each time LeBlanc roamed down, she was spotted by a Ku ward near the dragon entrance ramp, which is why the impact was not severe and did not result in a pause.
Yeah, well, also I was going to check it in the game, and when I toggled the wards, the green ward couldn't see the pink ward, and the pink ward couldn't see the green ward, which is different than the ward that was paused in the Baron pit earlier in the tournament. Still, something to keep your eyes on.
It is, and something we'll be keeping an eye out for as we continue through the as we saw, it was the decision to tower dive that got punished, but LeBlanc had been spotted early, and you know, some props to Febiven. Analyst S was talking about maybe Febiven picking up that second teleport to Fisho. What's your take on that? Is it going to be dependent very much on how much map pressure they want, or did you like the ignite?
I think for his LeBlanc pick against the Kassadin, I think it was okay for the early game. It's a very risky strategy, obviously, for Fnatic, but they paid off for them in the early game. The reason they lost the game was not due to not having a double teleport situation. They lost the game because they went over-aggressive and went into tower dives they shouldn't have gone into. And Koro got kills, Smeb got kills from it. That was where it went really wrong. Obviously, it didn't help not having double teleport, but as I said before, I like Febiven running teleport because it means Fnatic doesn't have to go all in the early game, and they can play more for late game as well.
Well, interesting that Ku actually bans Rek'Sai here, since they would have been able to first pick it. That blocks Fnatic from forcing
they're gonna first pick Tahm Kench for Gorilla.
Yeah, they could.
The best Tahm Kench player, in my opinion, so far at Worlds has been Gorilla. So I think this is good from Ku Tigers.
Well, also because Febiven has been assassinating so many people, but at the same time, the Blanc is already in the ban thing. I actually think if there is a weakness for Tahm Kench, it's against heavy AoE teams.
Yeah.
And since they've already banned away the best assassin, there's a chance that's what Fnatic goes for.
And we so rarely see these AoE teams, like Rumble is being played very little by Marin, basically, is the only one so far. Another thing, we haven't seen Reckless play Kalista at the World Championship yet. Fnatic is one of the teams who bans it the most. So Coup Tigers are basically saying, normally here you would pick Kalista on the side of Fnatic and be like, okay, you get Tahm Kench, we get Kalista, we have to take that trade. I wonder if Fnatic's gonna go for it this time around. If not, you risk Coup Tigers getting that one as well, and suddenly there's a lot of power picks going to their side. I think this is the perfect start for Coup Tigers.
Great first pick.
In theory, though, Fnatic should be aware of it because of the penchant that Coup Tigers have shown for Tahm. It will not go for the Kalista. It's likely giving that up to Prey and instead take the Ashe.
Yeah, we were wondering if Reckless and Prey were going to be taking away each other's favorite AD carries so far at Worlds. Coup Tigers either picked Ashe or had a band away from them in the majority of their games. But it's not like Reckless can't play Ashe. He played it before anyone else did as far as the European LCS is concerned.
Yeah.
Played it right away in the summer split, and Fnatic can play around it quite well.
And it is a good AD carry pick into Kalista, at least when it comes to trading in the laning phase, and then level 6 trying to set up that TP gank with your arrow and use that. So Fnatic has a 2v2 lane that if they are running double teleport can be super impactful because they are so good at diving towers and setting up ganks, both Alistar and Ashe, in the way they can force the play onto Coup Tigers, then teleport in. But we do also have to see what Rainover wants to play in the jungle, because we had the Rek'Sai, we had the Elise ban.
Well, you've got a number of very difficult to kill champions for Coup Tigers. Hojin will lock in Zac for his second appearance on the world stage. Kalista to follow, and the next question as well, Fnatic, will they leave that counter pick for Huni in the top lane or for Febiven in the mid lane? These next two will give us that answer.
I would prefer to see counter pick for Huni in the top lane, because it's very important you can win that lane so you can transition that pressure to the bottom side where you have your Ashe and your Alistar. Azir will be a fine pick, fine blind pick in my opinion. Kassadin might come in against it though, which is a good matchup, but you can still push him down to tower.
I actually like Victor a lot more, mainly because of how good Kuro is at Victor. Now Kuro did play Azir in the group stage, but as far as the summer split was concerned in the LCK, he was 0-6, and I think this denial pick provides a little bit more value. I think Azir and Victor generally fulfilled the same wave clearing role, with Azir having slightly better assassination, but Fnatic only wants... Oh man, they go for Azir anyway.
So,
they only want the AoE damage.
The thing about Azir as well though against a Zac is when Zac drops in towards you, if you can try and shoot him away with your own wall from the Azir, you can stop a lot of his crowd control from happening. Obviously you have to be very, very good, and Febiven has played a ton of Azir before and has shown good moves with it. I also just think he's basically saying it, I want to pressure this mid lane, no matter what you're playing, I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it because Skarner is a jungler. In terms of 1v1, he's pretty strong, like when it comes to a skirmish, especially if he can fight around the crystals for himself. Ganking wise, pre-level 6 though, he's pretty useless.
We've seen Skarner once before this tournament, and it left a whole lot to be desired. And we'll see how good that Impale will be. On the bright side, you have double the value. If Tahm Kench swallows somebody and you Impale a Tahm Kench,
you pull two people.
You pull two people.
Yeah.
Next level. I mean, it could be top lane Skarner if they want to surprise us, but Coup Tigers will be denying Skarner any chance of Impale. Smeb will run Fiora and say, I dare you to pick Riven. And Kuro will round out the composition with that Vigor. I really like what Coup Tigers have put together.
Few things though about Coup Tigers comp. Again, it's going to be so much about Gorilla on this Tahm Kench, because we know Kuro wants to run teleport in the mid lane. Ashe is an AD carry who try to force the enemy mid laner to run cleanse. If you don't do it, obviously you're very open to get an arrow in your face and then the team fight starts and you die instantly. That's where Tahm Kench comes in once again. So we might actually see the Skarner pull back that Tahm Kench when he's eating Kuro or Prey, and then kill both of them.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the idea they're going for, but that gets blocked a little bit by the Veigar pick, because if Kuro is very patient with his event horizon, he can basically wait for Skarner to run in, and even if you pull him for a suppress, you're still trapping him in there as far as being able to get out of the cage. This has been his pick against Riven.
A challenge has been issued, and Riven is the answer. We all wanted this matchup to happen, and there's split opinions on who should win when it comes to players and when it comes to champions.
There's been a perception in this world that it hasn't been about 1v1s or outplaying each other in lane. That is what the entire top lane has been about here at Worlds,
Non-stop.
especially in Fiora and Riven matchups, because it completely depends on the mind games between Riposte and the 2 CCs that Riven has to throw out. That is it. Not to mention the jungler pressure, the rest of the other pressure, but we will most likely see a solo kill with these two guys in this game.
Especially also because we're seeing two junglers who prefer to not be too active before that level 6 mark anyway, especially the Skarner on the side of Fnatic. So we might not get a whole lot of help for Huni up in that top lane. He's on his own. I'm more looking at Fnatic with this 2v2 lane on the bottom side, the Ashe into the Kalista, heavy CC lane. You run teleport now on Febiven as well. We just talked about how him on control mages, it gives Fnatic more ways of playing outside of just we gotta go and assassinate people all the time and we have to play super aggressive. They have late game insurance now as well. I'm looking for them to also try and make some plays around this bottom lane once Huni gets rolling.
Well, let's see if Huni can get rolling.
If he gets rolling, I think.
The Riven versus Fiora matchup has happened once before, and it was Huni's Riven that was victorious. Will that hold true against Smeb's Fiora, which is significantly stronger
It was against
than
Koro.
his previous opponent?
And Koro misplayed that matchup so badly already from level 2. Smeb won't make the same mistake.
Let's find out as we load up for game 2. The hope of Europe and the Western LCS Fnatic on the red side against Korea's Koo Tigers. Margin Boo's been swapped out. The golden god of Zac. And Rainover is going to be playing around these crystal spires. Let's see how well Fnatic handle themselves, because this is a jungler we've not seen in Europe since Diamond ran it a very, very, very long time ago.
Even before it got changed. Honestly, Rainover's put in a lot of practice on Skarner. It was one of his main champions in Korean solo queue, and it's interesting that he falls back onto the Skarner instead of the Olaf, when Olaf would have been able to run through the Veigar stuns, but I do like the idea against the Tahm Kench of still punishing him after he gobbles up an AD carry. This game is really fascinating right now. I also think it's super bold that Febiven is gone teleport against the Veigar, because if he eats an Event Horizon stun, he is completely dead. There's a lot to go on in this game.
Well, it's one of these problems for an Azir, and you have. I look at it this way: when it comes to late game, would he stay alive anyway if he ran like Barrier or Heal? No, he would have to run Cleanse then against Koro. I think that is an okay option. But right now, what Fnatic is aiming to do is trying to match that global pressure Koo brought in game 1 and say, you know what, that was a big problem. Let's try and fix it.
I want to see how Reckless handles himself with that Hawk shot. Something that Prey has shown when he does play Ashe is proficiency not only with landing the Enchanted Crystal Arrow almost perfectly, and also keeping track of his opponent's jungler. So let's see how Reckless makes use of that ability once he ranks it up.
I want to see what Huni and Reino was doing as well. They just took a camp together. They give level 2 to Huni. Normally what happens is you go down and give a few hits into the red buff, but you make sure that Huni doesn't take too much damage, because you want him to run into the top lane. You don't want him to recall and use his teleport, because what's going to happen now, and you can see Smeb is doing exactly the same on the bottom side, is you save that TP. So in case the enemy top lane had used his to make sure the jungler got a better start, had to use a potion less, you had that massive TP advantage for more potions and so on later on, which is very important. So both top laners are being set up for success right now with this start.
And neither of these junglers are going to be doing an early game gank. That much is for certain. We did see some teams before Worlds would actually sacrifice others so the jungler could have faster item spike, go invade the enemy jungler, but with this specific matchup of champions, it's the smart play to give your top laners the edge.
But it's such a fascinating one-on-one, because so many small things will be super important. One thing is that when Smeb activates his E, he gets that slow on the first attack and then the crit on the second one. The first slow even reduces attack speed. So it's very hard for Riven to do Q, auto attack, Q, auto attack, Q. It turns into basically just spamming Q straight up because your attack speed slows so much. So it's very hard to trade one-on-one. Also, the riposte against the Riven. If Riven goes for the third Q, the very long animation,
it's almost always riposte.
It's so easy to riposte for Smeb, then he wins the trade. So a lot of Riven players won't even use that third one. And they're just like, use Q and then...
Ну что, Логан, ты в игре? Или будешь сидеть на скамейке?
Мы команда. Либо мы вместе, либо мы все в жопе. Что за хрень?
Они идут!
Дерьмо!
You do see though in the mid lane why Fiven wanted this as here. He wants to constantly try and push in this mid lane over and over and over. We looked at him as a better mid laner than Koro, at least in the laning phase. And that's what he's gonna try and take advantage of. But bottom lane as well, when there's a Tam Kinch, he turns
I can see it through the camera. Feeling all right, mate? The shakes, fever, chills. Good. I'll introduce.
Skarner is very strong when he gets close to you. That is a fact of this game.
That was one of the things with how you can invade in if your mid laner is pushing, because Skarner 1v1, he is strong, especially against a Zac who's just gonna be like, what, am I gonna blob on you with my E and nothing?
He's already done like half as much
Great
damage.
riposte from Smeb. He will, however, get stunned, and all of a sudden, Hooney turns it back around, forcing Smeb to blow his flash.
That's really big, especially since Reignover's already doing the jungle invading. Hojan's gonna have to be fairly careful early on in the matchup.
Again, we see the strategy for Fnatic, always making sure Reignover can play aggressive, has a jungler he can outduel the enemy with, have a mid laner who's shoving the wave. So it's a good setup right now for Fnatic, but it was the same in game 1, even though they were just even faster and had even more aggressive lanes. That was not what won Fnatic the game, because they didn't win.
Nothing.
Funny enough, nothing won in the game. But it wasn't what lost in the game either, it was the bad calls later on.
Now, Hooney and Smeb again going toe-to-toe. He's not going to find the follow-up vital. Falling a little bit behind in CS, but the wave is pushing towards him. And luckily some info on Hojan's jungle path means that Hooney's got some free time up here.
You know how people used to have like best Riven NA? I feel like it's more exciting to watch Fiora versus Riven. They should just have like a bracket of Fiora against Riven players. I love this matchup.
Make it a best of 3.
He's level 6 here and they know they have to flash down. But Smeb is also level 6, which makes us super dangerous.
There's a grand challenge available. Kuro TP to middle, as did Feathervin, so there's no support elsewhere. Gentlemen,
it's all about
first
the
tower
riposte here.
dive. Fnatic are 10 for 10 when it comes to securing first bloods. They're looking for number 11. Reignover forced to flash away. Tower shot will not be enough to kill him, nor will...
Reignover's got...
There's it. Look at Kuro, who's coming up through the jungle. Hooney still wants to get it. He's going to be in so much trouble, and Reignover fires the fracture. That was so close.
Just by Hooney moving a bit closer to Smeb on the way out, he threatened a potential second dive, and Smeb was like, okay, I can't risk it. And therefore he couldn't kill Reignover, who just snuck by the tower. But that was so risky by Fnatic.
From the look of it, Smeb blocked the right amount of CC, and then Hooney wasn't able to combo properly because he was stunned himself, so he couldn't get the quick burst out on Riven. Still keeps a CS advantage. It costs Reignover his jungle edge in order to do that game.
And his flash down as well. Reckless. Probably get eaten by Gorilla. No?
Not yet. Not quite tasty enough until now. Gorilla will get knocked up and knocked back. He's flashing away. Grey health will get popped. It is decaying. Prey is stacking out those Rens onto Yellow Star. Summoner heal's been used. 250 HP. And both flash and exhaust down from Gorilla. Fnatic, they get the 2v2.
Yeah, they burn a lot of summer spells. I actually feel like if Reckless was feeling aggressive, he would have flashed for that kill on Gorilla, but he was afraid of a counter gank. He didn't have eyes completely on Hojan, I'm pretty sure, because with the shield going down, this is also why he saves his flash, just in case.
Well, Reckless sidesteps the elastic slingshot, and he will be able to make it out.
This is what I really like about Reckless and Yellowstar as a lane. They know their job in most Fnatic games is being utility AD carry. So flashing forward for a kill, yes, it might look good on paper, you get that one kill for yourself, but it means you probably get ganked right after, and then Hojan suddenly gets 2 kills, or 1 kill and a dragon for his team. So it's not really worth it in that sense, and I like that Rex just stays back and even dodges around.
This is actually dangerous. Hooney is still up by his turret, and Feathervin's stunning himself.
Feathervin's in trouble. Reignover's got the blue buff, but now he's been challenged by Smeb, and Hooney's a long way away. The challenge has been popped. First blood to Kuro, and double buffs.
You have no flash.
Massive for Veigar to get double buffs. Reignover doesn't have flash, and he can make that play if Hooney is with him. Hooney has the 1v1 edge, so to speak, on a Smeb, but there is a large minion wave at his turret. You can make that invade on the blue buff, if the waves are pushed. Rainover again overreaches and again is punished.
As safe as Reckless and Yellowstar can play in the bottom lane, some of that needs to go over to Rainover soon. Because, yes, he's making some good plays, but too often, he wants too much. And honestly, it's fine sometimes playing simple League of Legends. You don't have to always go in and make that massive outplay, constantly tower dive the enemy team. You can play it fairly safe because you're right now winning both soul lanes. But now you just gave double buff over to the enemy mid laner. That's not going to help Febervin one bit.
It really will not. And if Huni continues this path forward, Hojan's
Huni
gonna
also
charge.
has no flash. And Zach has amazing gank pass. Let's see if Huni respects this.
Oh, so much threat here for Huni.
He's afraid of Rainover potentially sitting in that bush. Normally a top laner will not be this aggressive with no summoners and pushing out a big wave unless he has his jungler right behind him, ready to join in.
Thank you, observers. You can see the Hawk shot flying over the Sentinel, giving Fnatic some information throughout the jungle.
Flies through the whole map. When you're in the right position on Ashe, you can shoot it to every single jungle camp, which kind of, even if you don't see the jungle with it, tells you where the jungler should be.
Process of elimination, and
It's an immensely powerful skill, highly underrated.
we'll give it the attention it deserves, Jad.
You know how Clairvoyance used to see one spot on the map? It sees the entire enemy jungle on cooldown.
RIP Clairvoyance. So 1-0 in terms of kills. Fnatic still hold a minor goal lead, thanks to the CS advantages for both Huni and Febervin. Rainover's got access to his Impale, and his flash is about 15% away from being available.
I'd like to see Fnatic right now get a few pink wards down on the map to set up this scanner so he can go in for that one play once he has flash, grab a target, and you can burst him down very effectively, especially with the Riven up on top side. But it's very hard for him to path right now because there's been so many important creatures spotted. He does manage to sneak around up top here. Can make his way into the second one, and now suddenly Smeb is going to be like, I have no jungle help, so I'm not going to push it out like Huni did before, because I'm going to play it safe.
Very early advantages were to Smeb in the lower levels, but as Huni has started to scale up, seems to be finding the stuns and dancing around the riposts.